I'm going to read an original story, and the title just came to me. I'm calling it The Overcoming. With squirrels clucking in the background. There was an urgent knocking at the door. It was one of many doors to many rooms that lined the well-lighted and cleanly kept hallway, except everyone knew whose room this doorway led to. Here, cloistered behind a beautifully gold-inlaid archway, which must have spanned 10 feet, was a room, a dirty dungeon-looking room, cold and damp, with no light from no windows. The knock repeated itself, imperatively commanding whomever was occupying the quarters to usher forward at once. "He wants to see you. He wants to see you now," an androgynous voice called out between a battery of hard knocks. Silence ensued, but for only seconds, although it may have just seemed like an eternity to the one who was alternately knocking, yelling, and then listening. Still as night, there was no response. "Oh, hell. I mean, for heaven's sake, Jesus, wake up. It's time. It's time. Wake up. The judgment is coming. The appointed time is approaching." There still was no answer. "Okay, Jesus. He told me to tell you he sent me. He sent me to tell you." "Tell me that it's time?" A low, steady voice echoed from within the confines. "Why, yes, yes, Jesus, to tell you it was time. He told me to tell you it was time for the second coming, the judgment of God. He said he needs you to do something for him." "Yes," the darkened voice said, "I know. It's time. And now he needs me. Then I shall tell him that I will obey. That means you will make your presence known before him as soon as possible? ASAP, as they say in the legions down below. Yes, Jesus, he did include ASAP in my orders. As soon as possible, understood?" The messenger rocked back and forth on his heels as he clasped his hands together behind his back in a marked display of superiority. After all, he was chosen, the chosen from his battalion to tell Jesus, and had accomplished his mission loud and clear. Although, he had to admit, he was a bit worried at first when Jesus didn't answer. "I'll take over from here, Sergeant. You're ordered back in file. Now move, soldier. And move like you deserve the ranking of soldier of God. Now move." The voice bellowed, shaking icons in the form of pictures and statues that lined the hallway, much like an old ancient archive that held invaluable secrets from the past. Just then, a Mother Teresa fell from its lofty perch, smashing into a million fragments. "I'm sure there's another where that one came from," muttered the captain of the Royal Guard as he settled his voice down, being intelligent enough to realize the scientific sensitivity behind the connection between his voice and the crash. She did have such a worthwhile life, loving her neighbor and all of that, even if most of them were foreigners to her. The captain acted as if just for a second, which here could be an eternity, and it is said an eternity which could be a second, that just for a second, as the crash occurred, so did the life and meaning of this beloved human being, now housed so proudly in this hall of fame, this life end. He realized he better be more careful next time. But being the career lifer he was, his report blamed his underling for the mishap, which cost a little angel an eternity and a day, patrolling the heavy metal wing of the choir for that one out-of-tune harp that had so plagued last year's famine and pestilence dry-run rehearsal for the last days prior to and including, of course, the judgment of God. This, of course, reminded the captain of his holy mission. Ahem, he said, clearing his voice in preparation of acting as professional as he could. Mr. Jesus, or Master Josh, if you prefer, he awaits. Shall I deliver any word from you? I mean, you are the Word. He made you the Savior of the world. The captain's eyes rolled back into his head as he heard himself say the words, the world, the Savior of the whole world. Oh, the captain envied Jesus' position, his power, really, the whole world and everything in it. I thought that was my destiny, my task, Jesus answered back through the closed door that separated him from the captain. Reaching into his pocket for a key, the captain could hardly avoid feeling that somehow Jesus had read his mind and knew of his lust for Jesus' power, which only Jesus understood as the lust for power over life. But this was not Jesus' original task, was it? Having power to rule just for the sake of power. No, Jesus' mission, his unique destiny, was to save the world. Save man from such misguided use of life's power. Jesus did not come to rule over man, to lord over mankind, but to love life more than that, to love life by loving men as brothers, not as slaves or would-be obedient servants. You're free to go see your Father. He's in heaven. It's down that way. Turn left by St. Peter's Drive, through the gate. Oh, in case you forgot. Sorry about the incarceration, but orders is orders. Anyway, it was for your own good. I bet you didn't think those few days in hell under lockup, after your resurrection and all, that your lockup would last so long. But hey, I don't make the rules. We just obey them, right, Mr. Jesus? You can go now. You know how it is anyway around here. A day is 1,000 years. We're all wondering where you've been. Come on now. You can go. You're free. Free to obey. Let's get moving, Mr. Jesus, before we both get in trouble. And you know how he likes trouble. I mean to find trouble. He would never, well, you know what I'm trying to say. He'd never actually make trouble. That's the devil's doing. We all know that. But he'd punish us for the trouble. I know I'm right about that. Now get along, Mr. Jesus. No trouble now, right? Walk swiftly and follow the light up ahead. I guess you're good at that too, Mr. Jesus. What's that, Mr. Captain? You mean... yes, sir, you're good at following the light. I mean, you are the light, or at least you were once. I reckon you and he will have a lot to discuss, with the end and all coming. Let's move on.